right. Welcome to Main Street Living. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
I'm Quincy Carr.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
Happy 1 year birthday to us right here on Main Street Living, guys. Our show is 1 year old this week, and we are looking back today over the past 12 months and our 50 shows. It's incredible how much our country and our world has been through. And we're going to take today's show to look back at some of the moments that we remember from our first year.
Yeah, Cheryl, and what better place to start than at the beginning? So let's take a quick look at the first time we were all on air together.
Hey, well, welcome to Main Street Living. How you guys doing out there? I am one of your co-hosts here, Quincy Carr. We got Cheryl with us, and we also got Danielle. How you ladies doing?
Hey, good to see you. I'm Cheryl Nelson, and I'm so happy to be here. So excited about this show. Not only are we TV hosts, but we also have our own little niches. I'm also a meteorologist.
Absolutely.
And I'm Danielle Alvari, obviously. Yeah. That's what that says below me, right? Yeah. So I'm actually a sportscaster based out of Los Angeles. I like long walks on the beach. Not now so much because they're kind of shut down. But yeah, I'm going to leave the comedy to Quincy, actually.
Oh, you guys, that's awesome.
Wow.
We've come a long way.
Yeah. And we even got our hats tilted the same way. Like, we are so in sync.
We're in sync now.
And we're wearing similar colors, too, to that first show, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah, well, you know, even with the pandemic and the negative news these last 12 to 14 months, there's still some good things that happen, of course. You know, for instance, Danielle, your background looks a little bit different than it looked when we started the show. Looked like you made some pretty awesome moves, huh?
Yeah, I was just laughing at, Danielle Alvari based out of Los Angeles. Not anymore. You guys know I moved to Las Vegas this year. I got a new job at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. So working in sports betting now, which has been a whole new beast, a whole new adventure, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'm just lucky that I got to do this during the pandemic, during such a difficult time for so many people, kind of stuck at home. But our travel bug, Cheryl, still found safe ways to go exploring.
I don't know how I managed to do this. It's kind of interesting. I mean, looking back to when I first flew in April of 2020, right after everything started, it was crazy because there's only a handful of people on my plane. The airports were deserted. It was so quiet and so eerie, but yet I was still able to safely travel, thankfully. And I went to a lot of outdoor locations, a lot of national parks, like Bryce Canyon was amazing with the hoodoos. And I also got to go to Yellowstone and then Theodore Roosevelt, and I saw a lot of bison. So I really got to do some cool things, guys. So that's the good news. But as we're talking about, this year also brought challenges and heartbreak beyond the pandemic with the death of George Floyd and the protests that followed. I remember the very moving response, Quincy, that you had to that. Let's take a look.
Before we continue, I would at least like to say this. Dear America, okay, this is my Dear America. Dear America, I am a proud son, husband, father, Navy veteran, and protector in this country. I represent beauty, class, power, originality, pure awesomeness, and grace here in this country. I feel successful, driven, encouraged, yet depressed, happy, fearful, pain, pleasure, right here in this country. It's hard to chase your American dream, be unemployed, work. I'm sorry, I lost my earpiece. Be unemployed, work, fight, believe, or even have faith, or even trust you in this country. I just want the same freedom, peace, living condition, opportunity, protection, and privilege you say this land will provide me here in this country. And lastly, America, you're sick with the coronavirus, bad leadership, hate, social injustices, police brutality, racism, and only a small group of insecure people actually thinks you're doing just fine the way you are. A small group. And unfortunately, that's why the medical attention you so desperately need continues to be denied. And I just like to say, we are all praying for you and your healing, dear America. So, wow. I remember I came up with that, and I think I posted it on Instagram. And one of our production crew guys suggested that I recite that again for the show. But just watching that again, like I could see, like, I mean, it was just so many emotions that I was channeling. But I'm glad that y'all, or that Main Street gave me the platform to just be able to say it and speak freely. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was just like, it was really powerful when you did that, Q. So I just so appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it brings things up because it's like, it's almost coming up on a year, and now I believe the trial is starting now. So it's like, whew, this is America.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously we have a lot more coming up in this show. We've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the crazy things that happened at the beginning of the pandemic. Remember the toilet paper shortage? I think Cheryl does. Yeah. So stick with us.
Yes. Welcome back to our special one-year birthday episode of Main Street Living. Guys, when the pandemic first started, I didn't really know what we would all do, but it's amazing how the human race can adapt.
Yeah, we did not know what we were in store for. I think we've strangely become accustomed to our new normal here, living in a world with COVID. Hopefully we're on the way out of. But if you remember last spring, we were all trying to figure it out. Do we wear masks? Do we not? Do we all of a sudden we need hand sanitizer? And where is all of the toilet paper? Do you guys remember? I know Cheryl does.
Oh, yeah. I've got some exciting news. And I never thought in a million years that I would be so excited to get my hands on some fresh toilet paper. So I don't know about you guys, but here in Virginia, it has been extremely difficult.
Wow.
You got a lot.
I do. The shelves are bare. My friend was in upstate New York for business, and she texted me a picture of the shelves, and they were full of Charmaine toilet paper. And she goes, do you still need some toilet paper? I said, yes, please.
Tell me how this started. You guys pivoted from selling alcohol to something else with alcohol in it.
Yeah, good point. So a lot of us craft distillers in San Diego and beyond, one of our absolute specialty is creating ethanol. So when the COVID crisis began building, a lot of us craft distillers had stock of just base ethanol, and we decided, the founder of Liberty, called Bill Rogers, and I talked about, hey, we can make hand sanitizer. Well, right around that time, the FDA and the TTB got together and said, okay, we all know you guys want to make and have been making hand sanitizer. Here's the formula. So Liberty Call and 7 Caves got together. We had a little bit of neutral grain spirit, worked on it, made a batch of hand sanitizer, and it took off from there.
Wow. And then Mark, can you kind of talk about how all this distilleries came together to kind of make this a group effort to help with this public safety?
Yeah, I mean, just getting the word out there, letting everybody know through the guild and, what was going on, what they're able to do. The World Health Organization put out a recipe that we could follow and make sure that we were doing it legally, providing it to people around San Diego. And actually beyond that, we've shipped all over the country and just tried to fill the gap where, as things ran out, we just trying to fill the hole that people needed.
So can you talk about some of the places that you guys have been donating this hand sanitizer to?
Sure. We've donated to almost every food bank in San Diego. We've given it to virtually every hospital, hospice, any lab you can almost think of. We've both donated to every person that's walked to our door, both of our doors, and asked for a bottle. We've given it to them free of charge. We've also charged to some companies that can afford to pay for it, which has helped us offset, some of our expenses. Companies from, big companies such as Amazon, UPS, FedEx, the U.S. Postal Service, different hospital systems, really all over the West Coast, all over the place.
Are we distributing any kegs of hand sanitizer? Anyone asked for that yet?
We have sold a 55-gallon drum to a big shipyard.
So I think back to several months ago when the pandemic started, and we were advised not to wear masks unless you were sick because, quote unquote, they don't really help. However, obviously that's changed. Explain the thinking on that.
You bet. And so what we learned here in the United States, looking at other countries globally, we've learned a lot from the experiences in China as well as in Italy. And the one thing that the country of China did that seemed to make a difference was the mandatory use of masks that forced the curve of the continuous increase to begin to decline. And thus, we began adapting that. Unfortunately, we started the continuous use of masks a little later in the game, but certainly was a good thing that we did start it. Unfortunately, as you know, across the country, there were many cities that experienced a surge and a high number of deaths. We have learned lessons since we recognize the impact and significance of this pandemic over the last several months. And so at this point, we are recommending mask use to be continued.
Oh my gosh, guys, we've been through so much. That toilet paper, I think I will never run out of TP again because I won't let myself have a shortage anymore.
I know, I'm turn into a hoarder myself. And do you guys remember when we weren't wearing masks? I don't even remember that time anymore. I just remember I went out one day and I was like, oh, we have to wear these now.
Right. And we have to stay extra clean now. So it's a little bit extra. Well, we certainly know what happened to all the toilet paper in the world. I don't think it was just in Virginia, Cheryl. But up next, we want to know what happened to school. So we'll find out after the break.
Welcome back into Main Street Living, our 1-year anniversary episode. We're looking back on this past year, and obviously we were dealing with the pandemic for this past year. And then one of the ways that was the most challenging, I think, was what do we do about schools?
Oh, look, Danielle, when I tell you, when the pandemic struck last March, schools across the country not only closed their doors, but they sent students home to begin distance learning. And this was obviously a new concept for most students, including their parents. And oh, don't I know it?
Oh my gosh, it sounds so stressful. And we actually documented some of the innovative ways that educators tried to keep the school experience alive, with virtual field trips to California state parks, to drive-through graduation ceremonies, and a personal perspective from an elementary school teacher in New York City.
Hi, I'm Carly. I live in New York City, and I'm a teacher for the Department of Education. I teach kindergarten. And here's a little glimpse of how my life has changed since the pandemic. We live in New York City, so our living space is not huge. We have a 10-month-old son. And being that daycare is closed down, we are both now stay-at-home parents as well as working parents. Here is my working station, this part of the dining room table. So normally I go into my Google Classroom and check work from the previous day, contact parents, making sure everything's okay. Some of them have the virus. It's been a little bit tough. I'm trying to be as lenient as possible because I understand what they're going through. This is it for the morning.
The primary users traditionally have been teachers and students sitting in classrooms, and we connect those teachers and students with all of our natural, cultural, and historical resources that we have here in California. But when COVID hit, we realized that we had to adapt and we had to change our delivery method. So we started to offer what we call home learning programs, streaming our programmings like this one from Lake Tahoe directly into students' homes. So all a child has to do is connect, and they are sitting in their home, but getting to explore Lake Tahoe with one of our subject matter experts.
Now, who's responsible for delivering the digital info, and where are they primarily located?
Great question. And they're located all across the state. With COVID, we had to change and adapt as well. So not only are teachers and parents and students adapting, so are we. And all of our interpreters who are used to doing traditional on-site field trips for students, recognize that they need to start bringing their park to the students because the students aren't coming to our parks this school year. So we have programs from places like Lake Tahoe. You want to learn about the gold rush, you can actually visit a gold rush town, Columbia State Historic Park. You can speak directly with an interpreter who is of Yurok descent and learn all about indigenous cultures up in North Coast Redwoods. So beaches, deserts, redwood trees, the biggest trees in the world, the tallest trees in the world, all coming right to your home. So you can stay safe and we can bring the beauty of state parks to you.
This next story is from a student's point of view, and you got to see it to believe it. It's a drive-by graduation ceremony. Check it out.
Love it. Hello, everybody. Hola. Hey, you guys here for the Central High School graduation? Keep on moving.
Hi, I'm Daralee Hospernar, and I'm a class of 2020 graduate. When I was younger, I would not have pictured my graduation being in a parking lot drive-thru. Like, who would ever thought that this would happen and we would be in this situation today? Being a 2020 graduate is kind of disappointing because I didn't get to finish my high school experience and everything I wanted to do, like prom, and I wanted to actually walk for graduation. So being trapped in a car waiting for hours is kind of not it. So
tell me what you think about coronavirus.
I am actually very excited to graduate still due to the circumstances because a diploma is still a diploma, so whoop whoop. Hey Marvin, hey Brittany. This is kind of fun, not gonna lie. Now going more through it, it's like, wow, cool. It was actually really cool, cooler than I expected. I got to walk with my family. They were right next to my side when I got my diploma, so that was really cool. It wasn't a boring, average graduation. Instead of like clapping and yelling, there's just the horns honking everywhere. That was really cool and unique. So I'm kind of proud of my class and what this was. So cool experience.
Wow. Now, what I will say is regarding the graduation, like that was much different than my high school graduation. Is that I barely knew if I was going to graduate or not. So
Quincy,
they had a lot of fun, obviously.
That cracks me up. And I love their positive attitudes about it because I feel like I would have been cranky, but they were so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Hopefully they get like a prom maybe later on down the road. Maybe when you're in college, you could do like a prom theme party or something. But yeah, they just they found a way to make the best of it. And especially like getting to learn just straight from Lake Tahoe. How cool is that?
Oh my gosh. I know. Yeah. Lots of cool stuff there. And we've got some more cool stuff coming up on Main Street Living. We've all heard the phrase, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And next we will share some good news stories from the past year. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back into our 1-year birthday celebration of Main Street Living. We're looking back on this last year, and you know sometimes it's easy to just get caught up in all of the bad news that we had to deal with. Cheryl, do you have some good news?
Yeah, I definitely do. I had to do that right here. So we can all agree this past year was difficult, but that doesn't mean all the news was bad. In fact, we have some inspiring stories, and we're going to see some of the creative things people came up with to try to help others and bring joy to their neighborhood. Take a look.
Let's welcome to the show Corey Jurgensen, a.k.a. the Seminole Heights Unicorn. Hey, there she is.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I am doing great. Now, the one thing about you is that you are a massage therapist, and because of COVID, you haven't been able to do your job. You haven't been able to be close to people. So how did you come up with this idea to transform into the Seminole Heights Unicorn?
Surprisingly, boredom. And I had nothing else to do, so I figured, why not? It makes me laugh, and I just get pure enjoyment wearing it. And it was more for like selfish reasons because I was just wanting to do something fun for myself, and it was just a bonus that my neighborhood embraced it and really enjoyed it also.
Well, now you said that you were doing this for yourself. Now I understand that you did this on a dare. So what was the response?
It wasn't quite a dare if I was going to be willing to do it anyway.
Right. Well, what has been the response from your neighbors when they saw you jogging down the streets in a uniform?
They so many people stopped their cars, almost caused accidents. They were filming, taking pictures. It was really fun running down the sidewalk and then having a car come around the corner and not expect a 7-foot unicorn coming their way. So it was more or less a lot of double takes of did I seriously just see this?
Absolutely, because people don't know if animals are breaking out of the zoo these days or not.
Yeah, no one's expecting a unicorn, so it's
Welcome to the show, Lauren, Erin, Sophia, and Ella. How you ladies doing?
We're doing good.
Yes. It's been a while since I've been in high school, but congrats on launching this nonprofit, Be the Change Coloring Company. Which one of these characters relates to either of you?
I feel like we use the characters just to explain the issue to kids because it seems more happy and better explanations for the kids. Because the characters, like animals, when they're talking to kids, it feels like they would understand better.
Absolutely. And Lauren, what has it been like seeing your book being loved by so many kids?
It's so cool because it's really satisfying just to see that kids are able to learn from our book, and we've worked so hard on it, and it's really fun to see that people like it.
Okay, Quincy, I completely forgot about this unicorn interview. Was that not one of your most fun interviews? I mean, this lady had a lot of energy.
I was genuinely laughing. I don't know if you can tell. I was genuinely laughing because, at that time, we were kind of just getting going on the pandemic stuff, and then to see somebody was just kind of having fun with it. I just thought it was funny. Just a grown person dressed up running down the street as an animal. So
it's perfect.
I remember the stir crazy phase.
Yes. Yeah. Don't you love it when you can genuinely laugh too and you feel it in your belly? Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, well, when it comes to laughter, I know this. Everyone, including you two ladies, found out how much of a bah humbug I could be during the holidays. So it's fitting that I'm teasing this upcoming segment, Reimagining the Holidays. Unicorns. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. We're having a lot of fun reminiscing today, looking back at everything over the past year for our 1-year birthday, guys. And one thing that I still think of is I never thought we'd be having a family Christmas over Zoom. But since that's the way people could celebrate safely this past year, that's what we did. And I mean, gosh, I still can't grasp that we've had to adapt like this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's been one of the most difficult things for people is not being able to be with friends and family, especially to celebrate milestones like birthdays or holidays. And it's also become clear, though, that people have, found some very innovative ways to reimagine everything from Mardi Gras to summer camp, all in a new virtual world. So take a look.
Well, it's interesting, Catherine. How can we actually replicate kids being independent at a pandemic home camp?
Yeah, I know. So
crazy.
Here's what I think. So I had kids home for home camp for many summers. Mm-hmm. Here's the key. This is really the key. If they're having fun, leave them alone. Okay, just don't involve yourself, even unless they're like eating dirt or compost or something.
Right.
Leave them alone and make sure they're making their own lunch, because there is nothing to suck up your time as a parent who's trying to work at home. We're all trying to work at home now.
Right.
The kids are home. It's 11. They're like, when's lunch? No, you're gonna teach them how to make lunch. I'm showing my book here, How to Be a Person.
Yes.
You give it to them. They can make a quesadilla. They can make a grilled cheese sandwich. They can boil a pot of ramen. They will, by the end of the summer, know how to make some simple meals, and you will not be interrupted every 5 seconds to make lunch.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on into putting this production on, especially in a year that's pretty unorthodox.
Yes, well, like everywhere, we're not going to be on a stage. The theaters are closed, and we cannot, have the thousands and thousands of people that come to see us every year in a theater. So we're putting together 3 episodes that will run throughout the month of December, and showing a lot of behind the scenes footage, talking to people that helped make the production happen, talking to people that have been affected by the performances over the years, and how it's impacted their lives.
Having parades canceled this year because of COVID, obviously a big blow to the community. So since everyone's at home this year, one group did start a movement to make gorgeous Mardi Gras floats on people's homes. So here to tell us all about it, we have Charmaine Hussain with the crew of House Floats. Charmaine, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how did you guys come up with this idea to bring the decorations to the neighborhoods?
So it was actually a joke on Twitter. I knew this person through Twitter. We did not know each other personally. Her name's Megan Boudreau, and she made a joke just minutes within our mayor canceling Mardi Gras parades that she would turn her house into a float and throw beads at her neighbors. And that was like Thursday. And by Sunday, I was on a Zoom call with 30 other people, and we were organizing this thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so incredible that they're still able to do that. And are people decorating themselves, or are they hiring people to decorate? I mean, some of the designs are really spectacular.
Both. There's been an incredible crowdsourcing that's gone on. And then a lot of people hired float artists to either help partially or to actually just construct the entire float. And that was really beneficial for a lot of people who got laid off when the parades were canceled.
Wow, that was so cool to see, just from everywhere. I mean, from Mardi Gras to the Nutcracker to, children learning how to be a person. People were very creative during the pandemic, and it led to a ton of a bunch of new things that we discovered. But we can't forget about our furry little friends. And, when we come back up, we're going to check in on our animals. All right, stay right there. Welcome back to Main Street Living. I forgot about we are enjoying a celebration day today, and I think it would be an exaggeration to say that COVID has been an impact on every human in some way, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it impacted Adeline right there. She's had it with this year. And so humans are not the only creatures on the planet. So we decided to check in throughout the year to see how some of our animal friends were faring during the shutdown.
What has been the effect of COVID-19 and the quarantine? What has been that impact on the Humane Society for you guys?
It's interesting. I would never have predicted things to go the way they're going, but we have almost 75% of our animals actually in foster right now, which normally we have maybe 10% at the most. And here at San Diego Humane, we take care of 35,000 companion animals and almost 14,000 wild animals. So more than 50,000 animals. So of the companion animals, having 75% of them in foster homes, not in the shelter in the first place, never would have predicted that. But it's helping us. It's helping us keep the community safe, helping us keep our staff safe with the animals. And God, it's helping those animals tons by being in homes and while they're waiting for an adoption. And we hope that everybody that's fostering Go ahead, fail at it. Keep the animal, keep the pet. It's a win for everybody.
So what kind of measures are you guys having to take to help keep the staff and the animals safe at this time?
Right. We're all dealing with the changes of COVID-19 and the pandemic and everything. And for us, our animal care staff, our veterinarian teams, our nutrition teams, anybody that has anything to do with the care of the plants or the animals that we have, we're considered essential employees. We do know there are some species that can get COVID-19. It doesn't affect them the same way it affects humans, but they can still transmit it possibly too. So as an overall just sort of safety feature, we're requiring a lot of our staff now to wear that. A lot of the images you're sharing here are pre-COVID, by the way, so you're not seeing them in their protective gear. But our staff has been going to great lengths to keep themselves safe and the animals too.
You've partnered with another California company to come up with a very innovative way, of course, to help Sapphire with their buoyancy issues. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when Sapphire was struck by a boat the second time, it actually disrupted her ability to maintain an appropriate buoyancy for the daily needs that she needed to kind of accomplish. And we have weights that are actually epoxied to the back of her shell to help with this. But she was still young when she first came to us. They can live to be about 60 to 80 years old, and she was still growing. So over the past 4 years, we've actually started to see changes in that buoyancy. And we started to come up with different ideas that might be able to help her out. And one of them was creating a wetsuit for her. So we actually started to build a couple prototypes in-house, and then we reached out to the wetsuit specialists at O'Neill, and they actually built a custom wetsuit for Sapphire, where we're able to put in weights to adjust her buoyancy throughout the week or throughout her daily life here, so that she is able to be comfortable and thrive in her environment here with us.
That is so cool. Cheryl, I'm so sorry, but before we toss to that segment, it looks like Adeline did not sign her contract. She was not going to be on TV.
Yeah, she had a lot to say about 2020 and was not really pleased with being on TV to talk about it either.
True.
I'm glad we got to see Sapphire the turtle again myself. She was one of my favorite segments, and I think a lot of us can relate to her having extra pressure, extra weight on her back this year. So stick with us, because coming up next, we're going to take a look back and remember all we've been through in this past year. Stick with us. Welcome back into Main Street Living. As we look back on this last year, we really didn't know what we were in for at all last year. I mean, it's easy to say now, we can kind of see a light maybe coming, but last spring was full of questions and unknowns.
Absolutely, Danielle. I know the vaccines are currently rolling out, and we can kind of see the light from here. But we do mark this 1-year anniversary of the pandemic, and we heard what a couple of different groups have been doing to mark the milestones and honor those that we've lost. So let's take another look at what they're doing.
Your dad, Russ Freeman, died from COVID-19 last December, and after such a tragic loss, you and your family decided to try to help others. Why did you decide to start a foundation in his honor? And you did it so quickly, too.
Yeah, I think our thing, that's been a question that a lot of people have asked. And I think part of it is to help us kind of get through this ourselves, is to help us feel, a little different than the darkness that we felt over the last couple months. But largely, too, this is just something that Dad would have done. And that's our mantra right now is not only to live like Russ, but to, if there was any other families in our communities that, have suffered anything, Dad was always the first person to kind of help out. So we felt that now we can give back and do what he would want to do and help people as much as we can.
This year has taken a toll on all of us, and I think we're just trying to find little ways that we can start to heal, right?
I know, we're doing so much reflecting, businesses, time spent with family and friends, and more than 500,000 lives have been lost due to COVID-19. Our next guest wanted to find a way to provide sympathy and healing for those impacted by COVID, and is doing it in a beautiful and unique way. So please welcome to the show from the Floral Heart Project, Kristina, Libby. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Kristina.
Hi.
So I love that you are doing this to honor people, and this is tough. So explain to us what exactly is the Floral Heart Project, and how did you come up with the idea?
So the Floral Heart Project started because I was sad. I wanted to do something to recognize the lives that we lost, and I really wanted to do something that wasn't political, that was more just about the sort of really intense grief that people were experiencing and going through. So I started it out just as something I wanted to do in Brooklyn, my community. I went and made a floral heart garland, and a floral garland, they went in and laid it by the Brooklyn Bridge. And the project has just grown from there. So it was this one idea, and then the very first one that I laid, as I walked away, I turned and I saw a runner run by, stop, come back, and then kneel in front of the heart. And I thought, oh, that's what I wanted. I wanted people to have a place to stop, to sort of just have a moment for what was happening, and then to go on with their lives. And so I just started making more and more of them. And eventually, over time, I actually reached out to 1-800-Flowers, who came on board. Has been a really huge part of bringing this project to life, and they have donated flowers and time and energy into really formalizing it as a project. And from there, it's continued to grow. We did a heart in Times Square and one in Bryant Park, and then we actually were able to bring the whole project national on a few times before, but really all collectively on March 1st, where we laid over almost 150 hearts across the U.S. with hundreds of volunteers. And this was really a coordinated effort to start to mark a national day of COVID memorial. Well, more than anything, it's experience for people to be able to do something, to recognize what has happened, but also to do something that is beautiful, that is focused on the loss of the community, that is really focused on this idea of healing. It is this idea that we can bring a visual symbol to a community that creates a safe space for mourning, for remembrance, but also a way to gather appropriately and socially distanced, to just reflect on what's happened and to start to think about how we move forward. And so, and since that day, more and more hearts have been laid every day, and I'm working to just continue to grow this so that we can have sort of a beautiful way to remember the people that we have loved.
Such touching stories there, Danielle and Quincy. I mean, to see people stepping up like that, there really are angels living among us.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I think it's so important what they said about the flowers too, just having somewhere to go, you know, to just have a moment to grieve, especially, you know, after everything that's happened.
Yeah. And, you know, and during times like this, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to find the right moments and the emotions and everything to try to channel it. So big shout out to what those groups are doing to keep people's hearts happy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely, guys. And that's what we're all here for, too. We're looking ahead toward the next year. Things are going to be hopefully brighter for all of us. So stay tuned. We've got more Main Street Living coming up. Welcome back to Main Street Living, our 1-year birthday episode, looking back at a crazy year.
Yeah, Cheryl, now that we've looked back, it's time for us, I think, to look forward a little bit. And you are the best forecaster I know. So please tell me, do we have sun in the future? What do we have coming up?
Thanks, Danielle. Yeah, as a meteorologist, I got to say, I see a lot of sunshine out here for the forecast for 2021. Yes. And temperatures, I think, will be a little bit warmer, too. So I think we have some brighter skies ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Hugh, I think you're forecasting some laughs too, right?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I really
always.
hope so I can't wait. Let's celebrate.
It's been fun. It's been fun to look back, guys. And
yes,
I'm always honored to work with you both.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to leave it, though, now with a custom theme song for us by Song Glorious. Take a look.
Danielle in Vegas works for the sports betting net. She's a cheerleader from UCLA who likes to bake. Quincy's in Virginia, married with a 10-year-old daughter. Used to work on the cruise ships, making people laugh all day. Cheryl's in Virginia, a meteorologist. Loves travel and cats, she's gluten-free and vegan. There's Carla, the producer, and Mike, the director.